Hey yo, swing, swing, swing. Chop, chop, chop. Yo, that's the sound when MCs get mocked.
I had to hit y'all with some of that old school Tribe Called Quest. VJs of Sports with Like Conduct, live on Spreaker.com. Want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening, man. Been a great show so far. Earlier we were talking about LeBron James, the broken hand, Game 4 of the finals last night, the sweep of the Golden State Warriors. Kevin Durant wins the second championship in a row. DMV, PJ County, stand up. Steph Curry, ring number 3. Vanilla Bros, where you at? My man, mama name him Clay, I'ma call him Clay. 3 championship rings. Vanilla Bros, where you at? And my man, Pink Bottom Lip. I call Draymond, that's his nickname. Y'all know I got the nicknames. I got nicknames for myself. I got nicknames for everybody else. Draymond Green is officially Pink Bottom Lip. That's what I call him. And Pink Bottom Lip has 3 championship rings. And as I was saying before, I do not see an end to this. And in all honesty, I didn't like this at first. The way the players come together now and, kind of, form their AAU teams and things of that nature. I never was a big fan of it, and I'm still not a big fan of it. What I am a fan of this offseason and for the next few years is watching other teams scramble and make desperation type moves to put themselves in position to beat the Golden State Warriors. I didn't think Houston had a shot. I had Golden State in 6. I got it in 7. I'll take it. I lost to 6, but I'll take it. Just like I thought Golden State would win this series in 6, the NBA Finals, and they ended up sweeping. I'll take the under. It is what it is. But I never bought Houston as beating them. I never thought anybody in the league had a shot at beating them this year. I don't care who you have. I think if Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving were healthy, as I said earlier, I think they would have beaten the Cavs. And I think we would have got a better series out of Boston healthy and Golden State than we got, because basically listen guys, honestly. LeBron threw his team under the bus in Game 1 on the bench. After regulation, he may not have said it in the press conference, but my mama always told me it's not always about what you say, it's how you say it, and actions speak louder than words. We can now look at it and we can now point to that and go, you threw your team under the bus in front of everybody on the bench, arms folded, pouting, looking like a child. And I thought it was such bullshit, because for him to look at Ty Lue and say we had a timeout, he tried to call one on the court. The fact that he tried to call one on the court lets me know you knew you had one and you tried to call it too late. You know the cameras are on you sitting on the bench. You ask your coach if you had one when he says, yeah. Now you're like all distraught, because I guess that means Ty Lue should have called the timeout. Or, somebody else on the bench should have called a timeout. I mean, you throw your team under the bus, they don't react. And you can see it from the tip on Game 2 on. I'll be real with you. The only person I thought that got over Game 1 was J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith played what we thought J.R. Smith would play for the rest of the finals. For the next 3 games, he was in double figures in all 3 games. He hit 2 or 3 or more threes in all 3 games. He was defending Steph. He was making defensive plays. He was diving on the floor. Like, I thought the one guy that forgot about Game 1 was JR. And the other 14 guys, they watched their leader. And I said last week, leadership and mentality counts for a lot when it comes to championships and winning championships in the NBA. Leadership and mentality, whatever your leadership is and mentality he holds, will then transpire to your players and his teammates. And that body language on the bench was the doom of the Cavs. And none of those guys can recover over that, because it's all, and I guarantee you this, and I'm going to call it out before I bring on my special guest. Somebody's going to come out anonymously probably and say something. I guarantee it. Just like there was an anonymous player that said, if we had Kyrie, we'd be up 3-0. That was kind of like the dig at LeBron, because you're the best player in the world. We get treated like trash, like we're nothing. Like Kevin Love never was a 25 and a 27 and 15 guy in this league. Like Kevin Love didn't average 21 and 12 in the finals. Like, honestly, you have pushed Kevin Love to just be a 3-point shooter. And every time they lose, it's always Kevin Love. The guy's fragile. He gets hurt. I get it. But at the end of the day, he still gave 21 and 12 through the finals. And I understand, well, you need somebody else. Well, every other night, you had Hood that had 15. You had Nance that had a double-double one game where he had a 12 and 10. You had Tristan Thompson that had 14 rebounds one game. I mean, you got the help for the players that you asked the franchise to sign. And I said yesterday, and I'll let this be my lead-in question to my special guest, Luis Estrada, coming to us from Spectrum Network, and also Luis House of Sports. I keep calling him Luis, and I need to stop that. It is Luis. He's Mexican. Ain't a Mexican walking named Luis. They're all Luis. Either Luis or, yeah, that's it. Just Luis. That's the only spelling. But my first question as I bring in my special guest would be, if you are the Golden State Warriors, how do you see the league, and do you even think anybody else in the league can even put anything together to beat you?
Well, I'll tell you what, there are some things that are interesting out there, but everything depends on the salary cap. Everything depends on who else is going to be there. You're hearing this offseason that a lot of stars may be moving from teams like Toronto. Stars, you mentioned LeBron, he may be on the move. Kawhi may be on the move, so who knows? Are there possibilities? Sure. But you know what? The problem is the salary cap, how to get all these guys in under the salary cap. I'll give you an example. The Houston Rockets are said to be full court press to try to get LeBron James on to Houston. That sounds great in theory, but they don't have the cap room. So you're going to have to renounce guys like Eric Gordon. You're going to have to renounce guys like Clint Capella, PJ Tucker, things like that. You're going to have to dilute your bench, which isn't a deep bench to begin with, to try to bring on a guy like LeBron, and then what do you have left? Now you're back in the Miami syndrome where you're just kind of bringing in guys on these one-year contract veteran minimums that may or may not really have the ability to do something for you in the playoffs. So are they going to be as deep as a team like Golden State? No. And, there's a rumor I heard yesterday, VJ, and I don't know if you've heard this one or not, but a guy that might be looking to jump ship and go to the Golden State Warriors, Trevor Ariza.
Yeah, I did hear that. He's put it out there. Like, that's not even a false report or like a guess. His camp put that out there.
Yeah, so imagine a guy like Trevor Ariza going to Golden State next and deepening that bench even more. Trevor Ariza, he's a pretty good defender. He can knock down a three, and he's got some championship pedigree from his time with the Lakers. So he's got that. And that dude has got, to steal somebody else's quote, ice in his veins. That guy's a bad dude when he gets going. So imagine him jumping ship from the Rockets and going to the Golden State Warriors. That's just going to make them even deeper.
Well, and I heard Jeff Van Gundy last night say he thinks they'll be better Golden State next year. And I agree with him because I remember about 2 years ago they lost a lot of their bench. But the credit Golden State doesn't get is their front office does a great job of drafting. I mean, go back and just look. They drafted Chris Mullin. They drafted Tim Hardaway, Hall of Famers. They drafted Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Hall of Famers. And then you draft a kid like Bell. How do you feel this morning if you're Bell? Last year he was losing in the Final Four to Carolina. And then a year later, he's winning an NBA championship. And there were a lot of teams that had a shot to get Bell. There were a lot of teams that had a shot to go grab Looney a few years back. Nobody went after these guys. Nobody was checking for Livingston 4 years ago when he came to that team. He was in New Jersey, and New Jersey let him go, thinking, okay, yeah, you had a nice little run with us, nice little year, your little comeback, chip on the show to show everybody that you're much better. You're past the injury kind of year. So when I look at Golden State, it's like, okay, they're keeping Iggy. Durant said he's re-signing. Klay Thompson's going to wait till 2019 because if he does the extension's 104. If he waits to 219, they can offer him 188. But Klay Thompson also has a $200 million endorsement deal. So the contract money for the NBA is not a big deal to him. I mean, why would you leave anyway? But I think that they add veterans just like we saw with the Heat, just like we've seen with other teams at certain points. I believe they add veterans and just get only better. And I'm going to leave the Golden State thing alone for it. I'm going to ask you one more Golden State question. We'll go over to the Cavs and LeBron and just everything there because I know you want to jump in on that. But just a simple question. Is Golden State good or bad for the NBA?
You know what? I'm a proponent of good, whatever the sport is, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, that good teams are good for that sport. And the reason why I feel that way is because you got a lot of players in all sports now who just don't play games the right way. They don't respect the game. They have front office kind of like not willing to do all the things necessary to put teams together. And Golden State's done it the right way. Golden State, you mentioned it. They drafted Steph. They drafted Draymond. They drafted Clay. KD decided he wanted to come in. They traded for Iguodala. You know, they brought in good character players like Sean Livingston. They brought in a guy like JaVale McGee. They've done it the right way. So when you've got an organization that's doing something the right way, and you've got a team that's absolutely 100% playing team ball and a team sport, I think it's good. I think it can only be good. The problem people have right now, they're saying, oh, it's a super team era. It's a super team era. It's right. You know what people are mad at, DJ? I'm going to tell you. They're not mad about the super team. They're mad that somebody saw what LeBron did and an organization went and did it better.
Yeah.
That's what they're mad at. They're not mad because nobody had a problem when he went to Miami. Oh, and I put that out there to you last year. We saw the memes and the interviews. LeBron saying, "Oh, I've never been on a super team. I don't believe." Aaron, stop lying. Stop lying. You started this.
You there, Luis? You're going in and out, buddy. All right, we got you there, Luis?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, yeah, you went out for a second. Go back to LeBron's quote about not being on the super team. That's when we lost you.
Oh, okay, so LeBron goes and he creates the super team. Now there were super teams before. There were you want to call Boston a super team, fine, but they were traded there. They didn't go there by free agency. He went to Miami via free agency, the team with Dwayne Wade, and they brought Chris Bosh there with them. They formed the first super team. So make no mistake about it. They changed the game. They changed this era. People are just mad that somebody went out and did it better than LeBron.
I'm a firm believer that as sports fans, we don't like what threatens what we do like. And we saw this with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. We've seen this with Michael Jordan and a few other, and whoever Mike was eliminating every time he went to the finals. We saw this with Kobe. I'm a firm believer when Kobe came into the league, a lot of Kobe's hate was off the fear that he could be the next Michael Jordan and end up being better than Michael Jordan. And then he was playing with Shaq, so people found that or saw that to be unfair, which is ironic because you hear people go, he didn't even start his first year. Okay, well then stop saying that because he was with Shaq. He won championships then. Because Shaq started his first year and his second year and his third year and his fourth. Shaq didn't win championships until Kobe became of age. When they were losing and getting swept, Shaq wasn't putting up dominant numbers. Go back and look. He was Ostertag and guys like Brian Reeves was actually battling with Shaq. David Robinson, Olajuwon, they were battling with Shaq. Shaq didn't win championships until Kobe became of age. So the super team comment thing that you mentioned, I said, I don't know if you listened yesterday and to the show the day before, super teams have always been in the league, but they used to be front office constructed super teams. I thought the decision and Wade and Bosh and the Heatles was the first player orchestrated, like completely player orchestrated. Like they discussed contracts with each other. Who's going to take the 109? Who's going to take the 111? Who's going to take the 99? Like they discussed this with each other. That's player generated, player constructed super team. And you're right. Golden State just upped the ante and did it better. They went out to the Hamptons 5. They had Steve Kerr, they had Clay, they had Draymond, they had Steph, Aisha went. I think Riley, the daughter went. I think everybody went. And now there's a story out. Mark Stein put it out, New York Times yesterday. LeBron has been very adamant with his people that he wants to play with Chris Paul. And
I heard that too.
Yeah, exactly. But it may necessarily not be Houston. They just want to play together. So, of course, Lakers pops up. Philly's out of the question because there's no way you bring Paul in and say, okay, Ben Simmons, we're going to take you off the point. That's only going to stunt his growth. Which I hope actually would happen because I predicted, I think him or Embiid within the next 2 to 2.5, 3 years, one of those guys are going to be out of there. One's going to want out or one's going to be traded. Something's going to happen. For some reason, I look at that. And because they tanked for it, I think the sports gods are going to bring karma to Philly. And one of those guys is going to be out the door. It's just like Oklahoma City. The same thing. I predicted 2 years before Durant left. I said when he has his shot to leave, he's gone. Oh, he'll never leave OKC. They love him here. I was like, man, love ain't got nothing to do with championships. And just like LeBron, Kevin Durant got tired of hearing about not having a championship. So I want to segue to LeBron real fast, and I'll start with an easy, just softball question to you. After the 2017-2018 all season, all the way up until last night, into the press conference where he walks off, what are your thoughts on this year for LeBron James?
Individually, look, he is a great player. There's no doubt. There's no question. He's a great player. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Is he going to go down as one of the greatest of all time? Absolutely. Is he going to be top 5? Probably. Is he going to be... Well, now, here's something that's really interesting now. You talk... I don't know, I'm sure you saw this, but there was a quote by a guy that I love to listen to. His name is Charles Barkley, Hall of Famer. He was on NBA TV last night.
I sure did watch it.
Okay, and he straight out said, I'm done with the Jordan-LeBron comparison. If I see you and you say, let's compare and talk about him in the same breath to my face, I'm just going to hit you because you're stupid. And I absolutely loved that quote. Or I'm not going to say quote, I'm paraphrasing there. But I loved his reaction to it. Look, LeBron James is a fabulous player. Again, Hall of Famer, first ballot, one of the best of all time. But there are things that mean more than just stats. I hate the stat guy because stats are one thing, but we got to talk about impact on the game. When have you ever seen a true superstar in an elimination game, especially in the final, mail it in like that? When have you ever? He took 13 shots at 23 points. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry. It's things like that to me separate guys like Jordan and Kobe and Kareem from a guy like LeBron. If your team doesn't have it at that time, then you've got to grow a sack and you've got to take that game over. You've got to do whatever you can to make sure that your team is there. The fact that he only put up 13 shots, to me, says he had no heart, had no interest, and I don't want to hear about some damn hand injury after the fact. If you want to talk about the hand injury, you tell us about it when it happened. Don't tell me about it when you just get swept and you pour in 23, only taking 13 shots. That's ridiculous. It obviously didn't hurt you enough when you were scoring 40-plus in Game 2 or 30-plus in Game 3. Seemed to be fine then. So I don't want to hear about it now. So regular season, still a great player. Do I want him on my team? No.
What do you think about his leadership? I always question his leadership. I really have. And after Game 1, after the regulation, and I alluded to this earlier before I brought you on. I don't know if you heard, if you're listening, but I thought he took the heart out of every teammate at that moment right there. And in my eyes, the only guy to recover was J.R. Smith. Kyle Korver looked like a deer in headlights. Larry Nance played great. He was awesome on the offensive glass and actually getting putbacks. Him and Tristan Thompson, my thing is, I'm not sure how much points you're expecting from them, but they out-rebounded Golden State the entire series, and it was because of those two guys. George Hill looked like a deer in headlights. I thought that moment right there was very telling. And then the comment, how much more picking up on my teammates do you want me to do? My answer is all the damn picking up that it requires. There's no limit. You keep doing it until you win or until they get it or until they come. I thought that was a side shot and poor leadership. I thought screaming on the bench last night when you've only taken, at that point, he'd only taken 11 shots. And he had 5 turnovers. How are you yelling at everybody? Like, and if you can read his lips, it's F this and F that and God damn it and this. I'm like, wow. Like, come on, man. You win as a team, you lose as a team. But I don't blame him because, once again, this is the product of the millennials that have made it okay to put up numbers and not win and still be considered the best. You know who he's starting to actually feel like to me? And you'll love this comparison. LeBron James, and this is a great comparison because the player I'm going to name, I love, and I never saw him play, but I've watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of as much footage and game footage and documentary type stuff and listened to other players talk about him and OGs talk about him. I love this guy. He started to remind me of Wilt Chamberlain. All the numbers, all the physical ability, all the athletic ability, does things we haven't seen before athletically, but when it's on the line the most, you just don't have that extra push and that extra gear. That's why he could not beat Bill Russell. That's exactly why. It wasn't like the teams were that much as far. I hate when people go, well, Russell had all these guys. Dog, those Laker teams had Hall of Famers too. Those Laker teams had Elgin Baylor. Those Laker teams had Jerry West. Had Wilt Chamberlain. I know I'm missing somebody. Goodrich. What year was Goodrich on there playing the two?
I think he was there too.
Yeah, come on, they had Hall of Famers on them teams too. But the guy who needed to have that extra edge mentally did not have it. LeBron is starting to remind me of Wilt. We're gonna put him in the top 5, top 10, top 3, top whatever. I don't even care about top 100, top 10s anymore because they're so objective. Let's do a top 50. Let's see where your brain really is. Top 10's easy. Let's do a top 50. Let's rewrite the top 50. Do you agree with that type of narrative, type of comparison that he's starting to remind me? Because what was Wilt in the final? What has one championship? What was he, 1-5, 1-6, something like that in the finals? Okay, so LeBron's now 3-6. It's starting to, and honestly, if he was to go next year against that same team, he'd lose again. He'd be 3-7. He's starting to feel like Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that comparison. Look, LeBron's got all the physical tools. He passes really well. His jump shot's not the greatest, but it's something he improved on from year to year to year. You can see that he's put in the work. His free throw shooting is not the best, but again, you can see improvements here and there. What it is to me is the heart. You talk about his leadership. When you talk about leadership, you talk about, can you bring guys to the next level? Can you make your teammates better? And this is one of the narratives we've heard about LeBron James all the time. He makes everybody around him better. He makes everyone around him better. Well, does he really? Because if you think about it, when he went to Miami, Dwayne Wade's numbers came down a little bit. Chris Bosh's numbers came down a lot because he decided, I'll be the third guy on that team. And people were criticizing, well, Bosh isn't that good. People forget how good Chris Bosh really was.
Yeah.
How many guys got paid?
Kevin Love too.
Kevin Love too. Kyrie, when he went back to Cleveland, Kyrie's numbers came down a little bit. But in crunch time, who was the guy hitting the shots? Who was the guy that was really driving the ball and carrying the team? It wasn't LeBron. It was Kyrie. Tell me how much he doesn't miss that guy right now. So there's leadership and there's heart. And LeBron James, we've seen it time and time again. It's almost like when he gets punched in the mouth, and if he doesn't go his way when he's looking at a ref or when he's looking for someone else to bail him out and there's nobody there, it's almost like he takes his ball and goes home. So I really question his heart. I question his leadership. There are guys that have come and gone in the league that have made guys around them better. Steve Nash was one of them. Magic Johnson was one of them. Larry Bird was another one. Dr. J made guys around him better. I don't know if LeBron makes guys around him better.
I put Kobe in that category too because he made Powell better. He made Bynum better. He made Ariza better. He made Sasa Vujacic better. Like when you want to talk about guys like Jordan, and I always hated that narrative, and it was so easy because we normally equate best all-around player to makes everybody better. No, he doesn't make everybody better.
Right.
Because if guys are missing shots, he's not making them better. He's passing to them. That doesn't make them better. Nobody, in my opinion, ever got better. Wade and Kyrie, I'll excuse them too. You expect their numbers to come down? Steph numbers drop 2-3 points per game because Durant comes. Because Durant's got to get his 25, 26. That's just the way it goes. That I get. But when your role players and a superstar has been relegated to the third role, and now he's a worse player. And when you lose, it's his fault. There are a lot of, it's Bosh, it's Spoelstra. Just like now, it's Tyronn Lue. It's Kevin Love. It's like, okay, even if you have a valid point, we have just never, and I said this on my show yesterday, we have just never had an era or a player that we just made every conceivable excuse for. When Shaq left Kobe, when Shaq got traded, I remember everybody who rejoiced that Kobe was going to have to try to do it now without Shaq. No one made excuses when people goes, Kobe didn't make the playoffs the first year Shaq was gone. But nobody goes, well, yeah, because you would have made it with Kwame and with Smush Parker and Sasha Vujacic and Chris Mim. Would you have made the playoffs? Would LeBron have made the playoffs in the Western Conference when you had Phoenix? Then when you had Phoenix, you had Denver, you had Houston, you had the Mavs, you had the Spurs. Like, the West was loaded. It was super loaded.
Absolutely. Not only that, you talk about who had who and who had what. Let me throw another thing at you. LeBron's been in 9 finals, lost 6 of them, right? Take 3 of those losses, 2 sweeps, and last year they got out in 5 games. So they were out in 4-1. So that means in 3 of his 6 finals, his team's only won 1 game. 1 game.
Take that 4. The Spurs beat him in 5.
Sorry, because the Spurs also swept them. So that means the Spurs take 4 of them. So that means they lost 16 games out of 18.
Yeah.
His teams.
Yeah.
And only one was that the first week was the very first Cavs team. The other ones would have been the Heat and these Cavs teams. Those were loaded teams. So to sit there and say, oh, yeah, he does all of this great, he's been all this. No. When you've got 4 of your 6 finals losses and you only won 2 of those games, we're not even talking serious, just games. That's on you because you were good enough to get there. So don't tell me you weren't good enough to at least win a game.
And they had a shot at game 1. I was in awe watching game 1. It reminded me, like I posted it, it reminded me of some Kobe and Jordan type shit. The way he was playing and the way he was balling, 100%, like I said, reminded me of some Kobe and Jordan type shit. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. But he undid, in my eyes, he undid it all with his actions and his body language. I mean, to sit there with your arms crossed like that and bury your head in the towel and slump down, almost like you just heard a relative passed away or someone's in a hospital. There's an emergency. I mean, and Kyle Korver, of all people, is the only guy there clapping, trying to say, okay, like, let's go, guys. But I said at the trade deadline, when they traded the veterans, I said, this is gonna, who now can hold LeBron accountable? Nobody. No one's gonna say anything. They all look petrified as hell sitting on the bench. And I'm telling you, somebody is gonna come out very soon, I believe, sooner than we think, and kind of do a Kyrie like, well, I kind of got tired of this, and I got tired of that, and I got tired of this and that. And what's so sad is, it's going to be somebody who wants out because no one can leave. Tristan, locked in. JR, locked in. Love, locked in. George Hill, I didn't know, man, George Hill's making fucking $15 million. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
He makes 15, or is it 18? Is it 15 or 18 he makes next year?
It might be 18.
It might, yeah. I think it's 18.
His deal with Sacramento was like 2 or 3 years.
Exactly. So he will make $18 million next year. So it's going to have to be somebody, I believe, that's either on their way out or just is trying to get traded, or if LeBron leaves, and we'll segue to that. I don't want him to leave. I want him to stay. I don't want to hear, oh, nobody wants to come to Cleveland. Well, here's the thing. Dan Gilbert wrote a really nasty letter, and we know it, okay? It had the tones of slave master to it. We all know it. But LeBron is the guy that decided to go back to play for him. So when you do that, then you open it and you say, look, I forgave him. You guys forgive him. I don't believe they can't get anybody to come there. I'm just not buying that. So I want him to stay, but I believe he's leaving. Do you want him to stay? And do you believe he's leaving? And if you believe he's leaving, where do you think he's going? And where do you think would be the best fit? I know I gave you a lot there, but you're a smart guy. You can handle it.
Oh, yeah. No. Do I think he's leaving? Absolutely. I think he's done. The relationship, we all saw the handshake at the Eastern Conference Finals when they won between him and Dan Gilbert. That's gone. So I absolutely think he's leaving Cleveland. Now, it's funny, you referenced the Mark Stein article from yesterday about him and Chris Paul wanting to play together. That puts a very interesting dynamic on everything, because there's only a few teams that have the salary cap space to sign the two of them. And Chris Paul's already said, hey, I want a max deal. So if there's only a handful of teams, you got Philly, who's got the
quick sidebar, quick interruption sidebar. Does Chris Paul deserve a max deal to you, in your opinion?
No way.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay, all right, continue. I just want to know your opinion on that.
Oh yeah, no way. So there's only a handful of teams that can do that. Now Houston, that's the first one. Everyone says, well, Houston's the place. Houston would be okay if they can get LeBron under the salary cap, because they can go over the cap to re-sign Chris Paul. But again, they have to do so much maneuvering. We've heard about all of the names that are possibly going to have to be gone in order for LeBron to go there. So it would be very interesting to see not only who's left on the team to make it all work, but where they're going to go forward. The other thing with Houston is you bring in a guy like LeBron. Now let's talk basketball-wise logistically. LeBron James makes everybody better. Make every team better, excuse me. I don't think, outside of maybe the Golden State Warriors, I don't think there's a team out there that he doesn't make better. That being said, does he necessarily fit? With Houston, I don't know if he's a fit, because you got a guy like Chris Paul, ball-dominant point guard. Will he be willing to give up the ball? We saw that this year, him deferring to James Harden a lot. Okay, cool. But now will James Harden, who didn't want to be the third guy in OKC, wanted his own team, is he going to be willing to defer and give up something for LeBron? Not only that, LeBron's also very ball-dominant, which means you're now making Chris Paul and James Harden, who are both ISO players, jump shooters. Are they going to be okay and willing to take on that role? That's going to be something that, if he goes there, I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if that's a fit. You mentioned Philly. Philly has absolutely the cap space to go there. And I think they need a point guard. But you mentioned something earlier that is a problem, and that's Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Simmons being there, and it's not because Ben Simmons is a point guard. No. They want Ben Simmons to be LeBron. They want Ben Simmons to be their version of LeBron. Ben Simmons can't shoot. He plays okay defense because he's lanky and he's fast. He can get to the rim. Can't shoot free throws. Didn't even take a three-point shot all season long. Can't shoot it outside of 10 feet. So you bring him in, you bring in LeBron and Chris Paul, you're taking the ball out of Ben Simmons' hands, who is your best playmaker. And now what's his role going to be? Is he going to go to the bench? No. Is he going to defer to LeBron? Well, why should he? He's the same player. And he's younger. So I don't see LeBron as a fit there. Now, maybe they're able to bring him in and do something with it that I don't see. But just thinking off the top of my head, I don't see him as a fit there. I see him as a fit in Cleveland. There is one other place I do see him as a fit, but it's going to take some coaxing and it's going to take some maneuvering, and that's with San Antonio. I think you put him with Aldridge, and if Kawhi stays, I think you can build something there. But I don't know their salary cap implications off the top of my head and how much they would have to get under the cap. So I do think there could be an interesting fit, but I don't know if he goes there. I think ultimately, when all is said and done, I'm going to throw out another one. People are talking about Boston. Maybe Boston's going to swoop in and get in there. Kyrie's there. He's not going to Boston. So get that out of your head right now, because Kyrie's not going to sign off on it. So when I look at everything, I think the best fit for him is either Cleveland or San Antonio. And just spitballing where I think he ends up, I think he either ends up in Houston or the Lakers.
And I like the Lakers and move because it makes sense. It would almost be karma because they tried to get Chris Paul before and couldn't get him. The league vetoed it. Now you can get him and get LeBron. Where do you fit Paul George into all of this?
Well, I think it depends on where you go. Paul George, I think he's a good fit in Philadelphia. I think he's a good fit with the Lakers. And I think Paul George could actually be a good fit with a team like OKC, staying where he's at, or maybe even going back to a team like Indiana, moving over to the 3. I think Paul George is a very big piece. I think he's coming to LA. I think he's a Laker when all is said and done, and I like the fit there.
You think that's you think he wants to come home to Palmdale? He can go buy a big ass house out in Palmdale somewhere and live peacefully and play for his childhood favorite team. You think it's a done deal?
I will never say it's absolutely 100% done because you never know what's going to happen. But I think of all the names that everyone keeps talking about, I think he's the one, because he's been talking about it for a year and a half. I want to go home. I want to go to LA. I want to go back to the Lakers. All right? So at this point, you've talked about it so much that you've almost backed yourself in a corner, I feel. Where if you don't, now the rest of the league is going to say, well, you're not a man of your word. You've been talking about LA for all this time. You know, let's say I'm Indiana or OKC, I'm going to be sitting here wondering, well, yeah, I got you for this 4 or 5 year deal, but how long before we start hearing the LA talk again? How long before this starts going again and you start regretting your decision when things go south? So that's why I think he makes sense there. I think Paul George makes a lot of sense in Philly. I think he'd be great in Philly with that team the way it's constructed right now. But I think he ends up with the Lakers. The reason I'll tell you why I don't think LeBron's a fit in LA with the Lakers. And not that he wouldn't make them better, but here's the thing: if you bring in LeBron James, a ball-dominant forward, now you've stunted your growth of Lonzo Ball if you truly believe he's your guard of the future. Because you take the ball in LeBron's hands, guess what? He's not going to be a spot-up shooter, and he's not going to be a splasher like he used to be. That's just not who he is anymore. So now you're stunning that growth. Unless you're going to trade Lonzo Ball in an attempt to maybe try to get Kawhi or somebody else.
Trade him. They should have been to trade him. His dad is a nuisance. Trade him.
Oh, I agree. I would trade him. I had a chance. If I could get LeBron and Paul George or LeBron and Kawhi to come to my team, and I got to give up Lonzo Ball, I'm doing it. But I don't know if the Lakers, they've invested so much in him already. I don't know if they're thinking that way or not. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, there's so many things. LeBron James going anywhere is going to have a domino effect, not just on that team, but in the entire league. Mm-hmm. We've already kind of briefly mentioned, guys like DeMar DeRozan, I've heard might be on the trading block. A guy like CJ McCollum up in Portland might be on the trading block. You never know what San Antonio is going to do. If Paul George leaves OKC, what are they going to do? What are they going to do to try to replace him? So there's so many different avenues and ways you could think about things and go about it. Once the first domino falls, whether that's Paul George, LeBron, DeMar DeRozan, and let's not forget a guy like Boogie Cousins either. He's going to have an effect on this too. Now, he's not going to be able to play until December or January, coming back from the ACL tear. But he's going to have an effect on it too. Is he going to be willing to sign a 1-year deal? Because no one's going to want to give him a long-term deal or a max contract coming off of that injury. So the question is he going to be willing to accept something like that? Or is he going to hold out and maybe sign somewhere during the season? And that could absolutely change the landscape depending on when he signs as well. So there's lots of different parts. There's lots of different movements. And I know you've heard these rumors about Boston maybe making a play for Anthony Davis. So who knows? But I think once LeBron goes and once the first domino falls, I think everything else is going to go very, very quickly.
And I think he is the last domino to fall. I think he kind of sits and waits, and whoever he teams up with, whether it be Chris Paul and Paul George, I'm not sure if that team makes it better than, Golden State. The thing is to chase Golden State down. And if Houston loses Chris Paul, then their 1 year they had their shot is done. I think the task at hand is to chase down Golden State. And it's going to be an interesting offseason, man. It really is. It's going to be interesting because now that this come out, he wants to play with Chris Paul, but not necessarily in Houston. Now you go, okay, wow. So where are they going to end up, and what are other teams going to do? I heard somebody last night mention Portland, and I was like, well, yeah. If you feel like Damian Lillard's run his course there, you already let Aldridge get away. Keep McCullough at the 2, put Paul at the 1, LeBron at the 3, and see what you can do. See what you can do there. I don't got him. My thing is, I don't got him coming east. I mean, coming west. I don't got him coming west. I think that's something that we're going to see rear its ugly head again. People have criticized him about it, and rightfully so. I think we're going to see him stay in the Eastern Conference. I ain't got him coming out west, man.
I hope he stays out east. I hope he does. Because if he wants to win, that's his best spot. But the funny thing is, at least the way I'm seeing it now, the two big teams that would really compete for the Eastern Conference, if healthy next year, I don't think he fits on either one of them, and that's Boston and Philly. So that's what I'm saying. It's going to be. I think
it's Philly, or I think surprise, Chris Paul comes up to Cleveland, and maybe they get somebody else.
I can see that. See, here's the thing with Chris Paul, and we've touched on Chris Paul a lot. Chris Paul is a good regular season point guard. Now, he had a pretty good playoff run, but what inevitably happened? He got hurt again.
He don't drink enough. Chris Paul don't drink enough water or something, man.
I don't know, man. But he always gets hurt when his teams need him the most. And it's every single time. You can't say this was an isolated incident or this was this. No. When he was with the Clippers during stretch runs, he would get hurt, he would come back, and then he would disappear in the big games. At least this year, you started to see, like, okay, maybe he's pushing through stuff, and he gets hurt again. I don't have the stats in front of me. I don't know how many games he's missed over the last few years, but he's always hurt. And he's, 32, 33?
Yeah, I think like 32, 33. I think that sounds about right. Yeah.
So do you want to give a max contract to a 33-year-old point guard who's been missing games and breaking down the last few years? Not necessarily. And that's my other question with LeBron. LeBron's 33 years old. He's been playing in the NBA at a high level since he was 18, and he's never been hurt. That scares me because he's got a lot of mileage on his legs. Mm-hmm. He's been playing a ton of minutes. If he gets hurt, he's going to get hurt. He's not going to be able to come back. He's going to be very similar to what happened to Kobe Bryant. And that scares me if I'm somebody looking for my future. Because let's say I sign him for 3 years or 4 years, and he gets hurt in year 1 or year 2, now I'm stuck. And I've got no recourse to go anywhere. That's something that scares me with LeBron.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Chris, I just, like I said, I think there's a surprise because remember when the decision happened, Miami was like no one thought about Miami. Miami kind of came out of nowhere. People were thinking New York, people were thinking the Lakers, and Miami came out of nowhere. And it's just like LeBron to hold us hostage, and that's fine. I'm not even going to bang on him for that. He should feel bad enough for quitting on his team last night like he did. And listen, just to be fair, there was another player that did it, not on the finals level, not on that stage, but first round, game 7, as Skip Bayless called him Weird Kobe, where people were complaining that he was shooting too much, so he came out and went and shoot. So I guess the difference is you can say, well, nobody was complaining about that, about LeBron, though. And he decided not to shoot. But people were complaining that Kobe's like, dude, I'm playing with Smush Parker and Kwame Brown and Chris Mim. I have to shoot a lot for us to have. I'm the reason why we were up. They were up, 3-1 at one point. I'm the reason why we're up 3-1.
Yep. Not only that, BJ, this isn't the first time LeBron did it. He did it in his last game with Cleveland when they played Boston the first time around. He quit in that deciding
Orlando.
Game. Orlando.
Yeah, it was Orlando.
Yeah. But he also did it. Maybe it was the year before when they lost to Boston.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. Because the following year they lost to Boston. That's when he took off his jersey.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. He had one of those weird. Yeah, you're right.
We've seen this from LeBron before. You talked about his leadership skills before. This is all part of it. This is all, look, in a closeout game, you got to show up. And I remember that game with Kobe Bryant. Yeah, he didn't shoot the first quarter at all. But the rest of it, I think he still ended up with like 30 points in that game.
Yeah.
He still came and said, hey, all right, now I showed you. Now let me take it over and do what I got to do. And he took it over. LeBron James, when he needs to take it over, doesn't do it. Yeah, he likes to show us he can, but when it needs to happen, that's when he disappears.
Well, I call him a front runner. He's the biggest front runner I've ever seen in sports. He'll take the last shot against, and just my opinion and what I've seen, against undermanned teams. Like, he'll block guys that, like the dunk. What was the dunk everybody went crazy for? Was it up in Portland this year? The big European guy that he dunked on? And it's like, dog, that guy can't jump 3 feet off that guy can't jump 2 feet off the ground. He was supposed to dunk on his ass. Like, come on, man. And it was like this huge thing, like his 60-something point game against the Bobcats when he was with the Heat. I quietly just tweeted, oh, that's cute. What do you have? What against? And they were up 23 points and they put him back in the game so he could actually pad stats. I said, oh, that's cute. I once saw Kobe have 61 3/4 against a Mavs team. So, yeah, that 60-something is cute when you're up 23. But Kobe, they actually wanted Kobe to go back in that game and go for, like, Byron Shaw was mad at him. Like, Brian Shaw was like, you don't want to go in, man. You got a chance to do something great here, man, and maybe get to 100 or get to 80. And Kobe was like, nah, it's all good. We got the game in hand. I'm going to chill. You never know. And, like, I think it was 5 nights later is when he hit the 81.
You know what? I'll tell you a story about that. When Brian Shaw said that, you know what Kobe's response to him was? No, I'll get it soon. I've heard that from people who were on the Lakers bench that night. Kobe turned to him and said, "I'll get mine again. Don't worry."
I'm at the point now where I'm just like, listen, there's no wrong answer. You can say who's the best ever. Jordan is is the GOAT, but Kobe to me is right there. He's right there. Kareem. To me, it's Kobe, Mike, and Kareem. Those 3 guys right there, I can validly. Jordan has the 6-0, so that's always going to trump a lot of other things. But the MVPs, he should have had more than 5. But he's got the 6 rings. Jabbar's got 6 rings. Jabbar's got 6 MVPs. But after that, when you go just player for player for player, Kareem had a shot that couldn't be defended. Jordan had the killer instinct and the dog in him, and that passed on to Kobe. And when you just look at those 3 guys right there, then I start to look at Magic, Bird, Wilt, Duncan. Like I said, a top 10 is easy to do. We should do like a top 50 show. We should have a show. We should have a show, and maybe top 25. Maybe we do top 25 NBA players of all time and just see what kind of list people would come up there. Because, you could throw... now you got a guy like Barkley, and you got Dirk, and you got Ewing, you got David Robinson. You got some names out there now. Where AI, T-Mac, where do they fall? Paul Pierce, where does he fall? Now you got the mess when you got some names that can that you could kind of toss around.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, top 10 lists are easy, because you're going to have multitude of Hall of Famers, and there really isn't a wrong answer outside of maybe the top 1 or 2. But then after that, when you actually have to do some research and you actually have to look a little bit, that's when things get interesting, and you really have to validate your list. It's not as simple as just putting up, I'm going to put this guy here because, wait, I forgot about this position and this player. No, you're going to have to do your research for something like that.
Yeah, because I feel that way about Elgin. I don't think enough people do their research, and that's why I like talking to millennials about sports, because you go top 10 players of all time, and they name them, they miss a guy like Dr. J or Elgin Baylor, and I'm just looking at him like, bro, you haven't even done your homework, man. You are so ill-equipped. You're so ill-equipped. I had a guy on the radio show. I filled in on a radio show as a special guest for a friend of mine 2 days ago, and he had a guy on his show that argued LeBron down. Good kid, knows his stuff, but we were very, very passionate. We're going back and forth at each other hardcore on a sports talk tip. And then 30 minutes into the debate, he goes, well, the Jordan I saw was the Wizards Jordan. I said, hold the fuck up right there. Hold up. You just argued Braun over Jordan for 30 minutes, but you never saw Jordan? I said, young man, you're not allowed to have this discussion anymore. You are ill-equipped to have this discussion. You are. You can't argue. You can't argue against Jordan and you didn't see Jordan. Get out of here, man. Stop it.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I got one for you too. I was debating football history. I was talking I was talking basketball history, and I was talking Lakers history and whatnot. And a guy says too, we were debating Kobe or Jerry West, and I kept saying how it's Kobe, but don't look past a guy like Jerry West. Jerry West was just a different era. This guy looks at me and says, "Who's Jerry West?"
Oh my God! Yeah, see, and you know what? What you should have did is walked right away.
Oh, I told him. I said, "Go do some research and we'll talk later."
Yeah, go do some damn research. Stop looking at fat asses on Instagram and go do some damn research. It kills me. These millennials stay on YouTube, but they don't use it for the right things. Look, man, I gotta wrap up. I love having you on. I appreciate you, big dog.
Much love, brother. I always love being on here, man.
Real quick, when the hell does oh my God, I forget his name just that damn fast. I was about to ask you a wrestling question on an injured wrestler that's been out for a shoulder. Why the hell? What?
Oh, Dean Ambrose?
Thank you. When's he coming back? What's his deal? It's been like 8 months.
Yeah, when he injured, they said it was going to be 9 months to a year, so we're coming up at a time. They're speculating he could be back any time. So the sooner he gets back, the better. Because damn it, I miss that guy.
What do you think about it? Just really quick, just 30 seconds, real fast. I'm falling further and further back off of it, man. I hate the storylines. I can't believe what they're doing with some of these guys as far as the creative team goes. What's your take on just everything right now, man? WWE wise.
I'll tell you what, I've been kind of the same boat. I haven't been watching, I keep up with the storylines, but the storylines are so far over, just all over the place. There's no flow, there's no continuity. They're still trying to push guys that either don't deserve to be pushed or they need guys that need a change of character, something to freshen it up, and they're reluctant to do it. Roman Reigns, look, the guy is a hard worker. I'm not questioning that.
Turn him heel. Turn him heel.
Exactly. We've been saying that for 3 years
We've been saying that for 3 years. When we did your wrestling show, we've been saying it for 3 years. Turn him heel. Face does not work for him. The people don't like him.
No, you have to have a reason to like the guy, and they don't have it yet.
No.
Turn him heel, but they won't do it. The only reason Brock Lesnar still has the title is so that they can put him, have him have the longest championship reign in history, and get CM Punk off of their books. That's it. And it's so damn petty. At least bring it with a guy that's there most of the time, that you can see him as defending the title and repping the company. Brock Lesnar, he hasn't wrestled since April.
Wow, you're right. He hasn't. You're right. He hasn't wrestled. He hasn't wrestled since April. You're right.
And don't forget, they used to do the storylines where the title had to be defended every 30 days. We're in June.
I know, right? And he won't be at Money in the Bank, so there goes that.
Yeah, he probably won't wrestle again. Maybe
SummerSlam.
Maybe SummerSlam, or maybe the one in July. I don't know.
I got it being SummerSlam, and I got SummerSlam is when they're gonna something. I heard someone mention the CM Punk thing. I'm not sure about that. They did it to AJ. I get it, and maybe they want to be petty to Punk too. But I am interested to see who they decide to put this briefcase with, because you got the match. The people that are in the match are fine. I don't have a beef with that. But once again, Braun Strowman will crush any of these guys in real life, and it's like, but if you put the title on him, who the hell could you ever have take it off of him? I mean, maybe that's why Lashley's back, but he's so corny and overdone. Lashley's time is gone. He looks great, but your time is just gone, bro. No one buys I guess he's kind of like a black John Cena, right? I mean, that would be right? That would be an easy comparison to kind of make.
I wouldn't even put him there. I would put him maybe in the same breath as Brock Lesnar or even Batista. In that.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. All right, no.
He did have the MMA career for a brief time as well. But here's the thing. Here's something that Impact did really well with him is they turned him heel. And he was a really good, effective heel.
He was a great heel. Yeah, he was a great heel. So
that's something that, again, if you're paying attention, you could use. But are they using it? Right now, the best guys that they got going, AJ Styles, I think, is still one of their better workers. Shinsuke Nakamura, I love. But this heel turn that they're doing in this prolonged feud, him and AJ have been going, they screwed it up.
They did. They should have. I'm gonna tell you right now. What they should have did is had Shinsuke win one of those matches and take the title off of AJ.
Absolutely.
You can always put it back on AJ, but you need it because now it's like this is like their 5th damn championship match, dog. When is he go? So when does he win?
Oh, he's got to win the Money in the Bank. He's got to. If not, then you've just killed both of those guys.
Well, that's what I thought when I saw the stipulation. I said, okay, they're giving it. I mean, what does he do? Does he pin AJ under a desk or something? We've seen that before. There's got to, because last man standing. And last man standings are normally controversial the way they write them. They have these controversial endings. And a lot of times it is on a title change. So I'm with you. I think they got to put it on him now.
Yeah, and it'll be something corny like that, a kick to the groin, like they've been using that since WrestleMania. It's going to be something stupid like that. They've taken some really good ideas and they've screwed them up right now. But like Kevin Owens, they're not using him well. This whole thing with him and Sami Zayn being together, I don't like it. They're not again, storylines are crap. They're not using them right. I hate what they're doing with Ronda Rousey because she's done absolutely nothing. She's had one match, and you're giving her a title shot. I don't like what they're doing with Nia Jax. You just turned her babyface, gave her the title, now you're going to make her a heel again. I mean, it's almost like, well, let's flip a coin and see what we're going to do today. Let somebody else get in there and really, whatever happened to the days of having elongated programs that made sense, that having a story arc, thinking 2-3 months down the line, that's when your stories are really good. Right now, it seems like they're just pulling rabbits out of the hat and throwing things at a dartboard and trying to see what sticks.
Yeah. All right, bro. 100, man. I love you, brother. Appreciate you.
Much love, man. We'll be around for sure.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother.
All right, peace.